Hey everyone, welcome to Rocky Tropix Gardening. It has been a crazy week. My back has been sore, I've got another cold as you can probably hear in my voice. So I haven't been in the garden that much. So I thought I'd show you a few things that I've done wrong so that you can possibly avoid them in this shoulder season coming up to spring at the end of winter. We're here in Melbourne, Australia, and we're getting ready to shift gears into spring. Here is my sad little greenhouse, which I showed you only a few days ago, last week. And we've had a little snail, which I found up under here, actually. That's where it was hiding. It's had a go at this beautiful Verono beetroot, or beet, that I showed you last time. We have had quite a few more things pop up, but look how dry these little cells are. Because I've been inside unwell, and hubby's been unwell as well. I've been looking after him. Thankfully the ones at the bottom are okay because I've been remembering to close up the greenhouse and open it during the day, but I just haven't done much more. So yeah, I'm a bit annoyed with myself. These cuttings don't look so good either. Oh my goodness. Anyway, here's what not to do. Look, these cuttings are doing alright. They're flowering. They're my nasturtiums from, I don't know, a month or so ago. So they're pretty happy. Ready to go. And yeah, my potato onions, once I water them, they'll be alright. My other cuttings are in the shade most of the time, so they're probably going to be okay. And my crocus look a little floppy, kind of their MO anyway, and they're a bulb, so not being watered as much as they should have been. Hopefully hasn't done them too much harm. But in the meantime, I'm glad a slug or snail hasn't attacked my new little seeds, and hopefully the other ones are just taking their time coming up. They're pretty much seeds that take a bit longer that haven't come up yet. So hopefully I haven't exhausted the poor little things. But yeah, just thought I'd show you the ugly side of things when you are not well and you get stuck inside when the weather changes. Be especially careful if you have pot plants sitting out that you think, oh, it's been a little bit rainy, they'll be alright, and you don't check them. I'm guessing this will be pretty dry. Lavender doesn't mind being dry, but that's almost dusty. And we had rain for about 2 weeks. So I think my brain just thought, oh, it's still wet weather, even though it's been cloudy and not really raining. Potatoes are doing alright, but like the crocus bulbs, they have their inner reserves of water, so you don't want to exhaust those little babies. Up here, my plants with their frost covers ready to go are still doing alright, because they get a bit of sunshine, a bit of protection in here. So they get the rain, but not always the full effect of the frost. So I'm pretty happy with this position here. I think I'll plant some more tomatoes this year along here. I sort of moved them at the end of last season and they were quite happy here. Something's been eating my pepino, which is Spanish for cucumber. It's not a cucumber, it's a melon fruit with a beautiful little flower here. So hoping for some lovely fruit from that. My so-called muslin crop is mostly weeds. I do have some rye and some wheat in here, and also some seeds that have come up from overhanging trees, which shouldn't be in there. Yeah, I get these all over my yard. I did pull a bunch of weeds out of this area last week. Not that you could tell. These are awful. These are called flickweed. I'll put another name on the screen for them, but that's what I've always called them. These little flowers, once they develop seeds, will flick seeds when you touch them 2 or 3 meters away. So as soon as you see them flowering, get them out quick smart. Really do not want these plants here. And with something like that, I'll usually put it in the garbage bin. Not in the compost. I don't want to risk those seeds getting out. Still finding quite a few slugs and snails in dark, wet places in amongst the pot plants, but our strawberries are coming back for summer, so I'm pretty excited about these. These are the most recently planted ones. They're the runners from last season, so if you remember me letting those down there and I haven't cut them off yet, I think it's probably time to cut them off. They are well established, even with a couple of weeds in the corner. They can go. So We're just going to take off these little runners which are attaching them to their parent plants, because they don't need them at all. They have their own little plants now. But that has given them quite a bit of extra help over winter, I would say, at least nutrient wise. Some of these, like this one, looks still pretty alive, but they don't need them. So be careful not to snip off any new ones that are coming, but it's still the end of winter here in Melbourne, Australia, so they're not going to be producing runners at this time of the year, I would say. It'd be very strange if they were. It's more something they do toward the end of the season. It's an old runner as well. And this one's I tell a lie. This one's already running down to the next level. Alright, we'll leave that for now. Don't really have time to be doing things with it. But that's pretty exciting. That's already sending out more runners from the new plants. There you go. We have the possum net / grandchildren net back on. My granddaughter's already looking for strawberries, so hopefully they won't be too far away. And this is the start of my money-saving winter cottage garden, i.e. they flower in winter. We're almost through winter here in Melbourne, Australia. But they will be so pretty when I plant them. That is planned for later this week, so by the time you see this, I think it might actually be on the other channel. I'll probably run out of space on this video to feature that. So have a look on reverse homesteading. I'll put a link up here in the corner for it. Another thing to do at this time of the season is to tidy up your mint bushes. Make sure you keep track of all these bits because they might shoot where you don't want them. Doing this one-handed, it's not great. But yeah, anything that doesn't look like it's doing well and really healthy, just take it off and the mint will shoot way ahead and be very happy this season as a result. So I will tidy all these up once I've finished showing you. But yeah, that's a big difference just in a short space of time. You don't have to find nodes or anything with mint, it's pretty chill. My very first cabbage butterfly this morning. I saw it from the kitchen. I thought, you little marauder. But I was glad this was under the fruit fly net. This is usually my brassica bed. There's not much in here, but some little mini crunch cabbages on their way, as well as some rutabagas or Swedes. Those little babies will be pretty happy to be protected. So I'll give all of this a good water and I'll be ready coming up for spring. Same thing with plants like this. This is a lemon balm, not to be confused with a lemon verbena. Lemon verbena plants are frost sensitive, and I mean these are if you get a bad frost. Lemon verbena plants are much more stick-like the big ones here, but the lemon verbenas don't really run along the ground like this one is in its second season. I grew this, no, I purchased this. Purchased it as a seedling, a few little weeds in there, and it is in a pot because it's a bit of a monster. It's like mint, that's why I keep mint in a pot, because it will take over your garden and be very hard to get out of there. So I prefer, seeing as I don't use much mint or lemon balm, I just use it for tea and the occasional garnish, that sort of thing. It's fine just to have it in a pot, it doesn't take up much space. A little bit more care in summer, but it's the sort of thing that will just look after itself really. And make sure you pick up all the bits like I will, just like the mint, because I don't want this taking over my garden. They're good little plants to have, so I always have this on a plant stand and the mint to make sure that they don't get away through the ground at the bottom of the pot. But that's all ready for next season. Another thing to remember coming up to the warmer weather is your little worm farm if you have one. It's really good to keep that towel damp or wet on a warm day, and I usually keep it dry if the weather's going to be really cold, but I'm not too fussy. I mean, they live underground normally, but definitely needs to be wet on a hot day. And I would say a hot day is a sunny day. Anything sort of above 15, 16 degrees if the sun is out, that needs to be damp in there. Something I've had trouble with the very first time since it was planted almost a year ago is my rhubarb being eaten by something. Could have been slugs or snails, but the way it was sort of bitten off, it looks like it was a possum. This only had 2 stems, like this one. Sort of about the same size, a bit smaller. Different variety. This is a Victoria rhubarb. That's a Wandon rhubarb. Wandon's special to me anyway, in the Yarra Valley. Used to work there. But rhubarb plants come from a crown, which is like a big wide chunky root under the ground. So that's already coming back. If you're really worried, see, there's the other leaf. If you're really worried, you'd protect that as well. So perhaps I'll just put a bit of camouflage over there. Nothing to see here for the possums. Don't forget your hanging baskets. This little one's decided to flower for the first time. That's my cute little kalanko. It came from a cutting from a family member. Super tough, super sturdy. This is also from a family member that I grew as a cutting. Very sturdy little plants. It's a pink flowering silver dust plant, I believe. Very cute. And this is facing south. In Melbourne, that is where the sun is not. And it hardly ever gets direct sun, so it's pretty happy there. In contrast, I've had trouble keeping geraniums happy in here. They get a bit of warmth from the sun against the wall here, which faces east, a little bit northeast, I guess. And I haven't actually cut it out, but that's what we lost. Those couple of plants that I grew from seed. This little one's popped up on its own, and I just gave it a drink of water before. So I'm trying to remember, because this is not very good for retaining water. And this time of the year, the magpies and the miners and Indian miners are stealing this coconut coir for their nests. So it's up against it, but I am determined to have a little geranium trailing out of there by the end of the summer again. Well, I hope you're having fun in your garden. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.